Hello. Is audio good?
Yeah, the audio is
Okay.
great. I'm just gonna wait a couple of minutes just to let everyone settle in, and then we start with the live. Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone.
So I guess we'll be starting momentarily. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Women's Health Instagram Live. Today we're beginning a mini series in our Instagram lives. We'll be talking about women's mental health today. Then come June, we'll be talking about men's mental health, and then mental health among non-binary and gender non-conforming folks later on in June as well. The topics we'll be covering in these lives are complex, and we understand that completely, and we recognize that we only have around 30 minutes or so to cover them. But we nevertheless hope that these conversations provide a good introduction to exploring mental health from various gendered perspectives, and that they leave you with some resources as well to support your mental health however you identify. I'm joined today by my fellow intern, Raneen. My name's Ahredan, and I'll be asking her some questions about mental health. But first, a statement about our organization. We're interns from Connect-OC. Connect-OC is a coalition dedicated to increasing accessibility to mental health services for Orange County transitional age youth, young adults of TAY/YA, and their families by networking them to local community mental health resources. Find out more at connectoc.org. Again, that is connectoc.org. The Connect-OC Coalition is funded by the Orange County Mental Health Agency, Behavioral Health Services Prevention and Intervention, through the Mental Health Services Act/Prop 63. Just a quick note, we are not mental health professionals. Our focus today is going to be on women's mental health, but if anyone has questions that are perhaps a bit more clinical and would benefit from the advice of a mental health professional, we strongly encourage you to take a look at our saved story that provides some valuable resources. And one last thing, don't forget to take our survey following the live today to be entered to win an Amazon gift card. So, a nice cherry on top to round it off. So without further ado, let's get into it. Raneen, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Yeah, it's a beautiful day outside. Not too warm, not too
It's really
cold.
nice out.
So I'm just gonna, yeah, I'm probably gonna go outside after a while after this. So I can see some of your friends, I assume, have joined the live as well, right? Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Um, so, so I was wanting to ask you, you've got a large social media following. You're quite active on it, I presume. So, do you think that social media might have an effect on mental health, on your personal mental health? Do you have a personal perspective on that?
Yeah, so the way that I see it, social media does have a really major effect on mental health and women's mental health, especially because we're constantly being fed all these images of like other women and other people that are like fully edited, not so genuine, and that creates this image in our minds that, oh, we need to be like this. I want to be like this. I want to look like this. I want to live that life. I want this. But and sometimes those people that are posting those things, they're not. they don't actually look like that. They don't actually live that life. They don't actually they're not presenting themselves who they genuinely are. And like that's okay. But we also have to understand that like everyone is putting out a image of themselves that they want the world to see, and sometimes it doesn't correlate to who they really are. Um, and an instance that happened recently was that I noticed a lot of women talking about it on social media was how Khloe Kardashian, her grandma, posted a picture of her body that was unedited. The thing is, she's beautiful the way that she is, and everyone was noting that. Everyone was saying, "Wow, you're beautiful the way that you are. Like, why are you trying to hide?" And it's caused this whole thing on social media where like, okay, if you're embarrassed to show that you look like that, why should I be confident in the way I look? And that's where like the problems occur. It's just like um, sometimes when you have a platform such as like the Kardashians, and they've been putting out like trends and everything for women, and a lot of women like to follow them and like to like sometimes try to be like them, and the message that they put out for young girls and women sometimes is not always um, the reality of like life and what it is. And the message that she put out doing that is like saying, oh, like that you have to edit your photos, that you have to in order to look good, in order to do that. So that was like a big instance that happened as of recently, and that's something that has been happening for the years that social media has been a thing. I feel like when social media first came out, I feel like it wasn't as um, glamored in a way, like with the whole body image and everything. I feel like as it progressed, the way that body image has been seen has been like, oh, I have to look like a certain way in order to get views, in order to get likes, in order. But that's not the case. Um, I've been seeing recently, like, if you're genuinely yourself, and if you put yourself out there that's like that represents who you are, that gets you the attention that you want, that you will want in a way. So social media does have a great effect on a woman's mental health and how they view like their body image, and that can cause them to constantly think in a certain way and then be detrimental to themselves, and in a way sometimes they can even harm themselves. So yeah, social media
Hmm.
does have a really big effect on how women think of themselves and their mental health.
Hmm. Yeah, thanks for your honesty. I think honestly, social media wasn't really supposed to be as glamorous as you said. I mean, on a personal note, I remember how uh, near Y2K, how Facebook and YouTube and those platforms were, that you didn't have to really project your real self out into the internet, but rather you could create your own personal identity or avatar and show the world who you really were. It's an interesting dichotomy where you're expressing your genuinity through a medium that is not entirely genuine, but you were all the more honest for it. So, yes, I think I am reminded of a quote that Stephen Fry said, the British writer and comedian. He said that social media reminded him of Pandora's box. He thought that it was going to be something great, and instead, it released all this horror and you know ingenuity. That's not really the purpose of what it was created for, but you know that's what it is.
Yeah, because
Um,
like
back to
first getting onto Instagram, like people are just posting like pictures of like outside and just like selfies in the mirror, not caring like about all these filters and all these editing apps and everything that came out, and all these things actually, all these new apps and everything that help like edit a picture to look a certain way has, I feel like, also projected that whole idea of like needing to look a certain way in order to get this amount of likes and this amount of attention.
Mhm,
So that's just like that plays a role into like mental health, women's mental health in general, because you think that you need to look a certain way, when in reality the way that you look is okay. Like you're fine the way that you are.
mhm, definitely. Um, On a related note, do you think um, what, if any, is some self stigma that women face as it relates to their mental health? Do you think there are any?
So, some self stigma that women face could be um, feeling like they're a burden. And I feel like that's something a lot of women experience, whether it be in their workplace, school, sometimes in family. Um, and an instance that I've personally experienced was um, me going to the nurse's office at my high school. When I first started experiencing like anxiety and everything, that's like a place that you would think to go to because that's like they're there to help you, and also the counselor's office are there to help you. And that was like essentially my safe place whenever I experienced anxiety at school. Um, but it's not like I was going there all the time, like every day or like every other week, but like my face to become familiar there. Um, so when that happened, another instance that happened to me where I got anxiety, I'd go there. They put me into a room for me to calm down and to like feel safe, and that's like essential for me to calm down, for me to get back to my place. And um, a woman there, and it's so sad that like women do this to other women. And a woman there, she thought that I was faking my anxiety and that I was faking just so I can skip classes, and which like that is so like that's so false because why would I miss my classes? If I'm experiencing if I'm faking anxiety, why would I fake that for? Why would I fake a mental health issue that I have, and that is actually known in the nurse's office, and that is actually something in my files? Like, why would I, fake that? And that made me feel like I can never go back there again. That I shouldn't be going back there when I needed, like that help. Um, and a lot of women do face this because sometimes people think that we're lying about dealing with these things, or that like we're fine because we're young, or that um, we're just faking it just to get out of something, in which that is not the case. That is not always the case. And then sometimes people can experience that with family. Like sometimes people, or women in general, like their family members are not understanding, and that gives into that stigma. They're not understanding of what they're going through, and that can cause a woman to not want to ask for help anywhere else. If they're constantly told that you're fine, or you're fine the way you're fine, like nothing's wrong with you, or like the whole instance where like, oh, like you're strong, like why are you dealing with this? You can deal with it on your own, like figure it out yourself, or um you don't need help. Or sometimes people around you, or like sometimes family members can even um be like, this is something that um I've heard people tell me, where like their parents or family members have told them, were like, oh, like um you're not like close enough to God, or you're not into religion enough, or something. And this like that's so wrong. Like I understand that a lot of people like deal with different things, but um essentially um making sure that you have people around you who are willing to go with you and get help, and to actually take that stance and get help for yourself, like that is something that's really hard to do, because not everyone has that support system, and not everyone has that ability to actually, to go call, because they're afraid that they're going to get in trouble from either the parents, either their guardians, or someone else, because they're going to go get help. Um, in which that also plays into the whole like, schools, they should be paying more attention, and they should be trusting their students enough to know that, hey, this is what's going on. Like my mom, like she would like one time call the school and be like, "Hey, like I deal with this and that," and just like even then with that, like she's like the woman still thought that I was lying, and I feel like it's a lack of trust that also plays into the stigma, where it's just like, okay, like like they should be able to have this sort of trust and understanding, and the lack of that does play into the whole stigma of it all, and also making women in general feel like they're a burden, to ask for that help, and that causes them to not want to get help at all. And then what's next, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly can empathize with that because a lot of our cultural backgrounds share some common ground regarding that topic where cultural influence actually plays a part in how we perceive mental health being, how it can manifest those issues can manifest in the people around us. Do you think you can give some personal perspectives as well on how culture might exacerbate those issues as well? Like I know you spoke about self-burden, but do you think that culture could also play a part in maximizing that self-burden on one person?
Yeah, so I'm fortunate enough. I know that not everyone has um, these type of relationships with their family, but I'm fortunate enough to have my mom being open about it, with their family members being open about it, and us being open about like what we deal with regarding mental health as a woman. And when I listen to like other people who are part of my culture tell me that like their parents are not like um, willing to actually help them get the help that they need because they think that it's because like a lot of times they'll blame like that they're on their phone too much. There's that one. And if you've heard that one, on their phone too much. That's the reason why they're getting that the reason why what's happening to them is happening, um, or that they're not studying enough, or that they're not helping like their parents enough around the house or something like that. Like it's just like all these like excuses um and I feel like it's also rooted in that they're also dealing with that because this is something that can be caused by generational trauma. And I feel like in that sense, it's just like, okay, then how do they get the help that they need? And I feel like having friends that support you, that's like a really key thing to help with that to help you actually get that help that you need. Like ask them to come with you, ask them to take a call with you, ask them to help you formulate a text message, um, because because just like generational trauma, like things can run through a family, like mental health issues can run through a family. Like for my family, it's anxiety. Like that runs through my family. Like my mom has it, I have it, aunts have it. We all deal with it, and I feel like being open about it is a really key thing, especially within a cultural household, to actually break those stigmas. And that is not something that's easy to do, because not everyone understands like what it's like to actually deal with these mental health issues, and don't understand where to get help for these things. So I feel like that's why it's our job who are open about it to actually present these resources and to present these ways to actually get help, and to make it seem like that to make sure that they know that it's a safe place, that it's a safe thing to do, and that it's okay to deal with these things and everything. And also that it doesn't go against any like religious things or cultural things and everything, that it's actually needed to like help yourself. you know I think that's like a big one. um a lot of times they feel like it's going against something, but it's not. You're getting the help that you need, and that is an essential part of like living.
Mhm. Yeah, that's an amazing point that you brought up about religion somehow seeming as though you're supposed to be a pillar of strength always, but that's not always the case. Religion is not about the prophets and their pursuits. It's about the common man. The common man goes through his struggles, you know, in in different ways from everyone else. So it helps to be open about that because religion is a community of things, it's people coming together, and being open about it helps everyone out in the end. Um, could you speak a little bit about self-advocacy and assertiveness in terms of women's mental health?
Yeah, so being a woman, it's it's okay to ask for another woman's assistance, whether that be at a hair salon, whether that be a doctor, whether that be a therapist or a counselor or anything else. Um, it is okay to ask for a woman's expertise on those things, because sometimes, like as for me, like I'll want like I'll ask for like a woman therapist, hairstylist. I'll ask for a doctor because like there's nothing wrong with having a guy do those things. There's nothing wrong. It's just that sometimes there's certain things that you would want to talk about with a woman in regards to the biological aspects or anything else. It's just like there's just like this comfort that one gets from a woman gets from talking to another woman about these things, and um, especially when it comes to a therapist. Sometimes you know uh, as a woman, like you are probably not as open with a man about certain things that happens to you, or you don't know if they'll have like the same understanding in a way, if know what I mean. So that's why it's okay to ask for a woman's assistance in these fields and to assert that as well. Like don't feel bad that you're asking. And another instance, I know that um, in Orange County that it's really sad that it saddens me that there has been a rise of trafficking happening in certain areas in Orange County, and even like close to home, and that scares me. That's scary, and as as a woman, it's okay to ask someone for help or to ask someone to walk you to your car, whether it's at night, whether it's at a store, whether it's late night class, or if you work late, don't be afraid to or in general, don't feel bad to ask your boss or another employee to walk you to your car, um because sometimes when we feel that, sometimes like as for me, like I'm a shy person, or I don't want to feel like I'm also like a burden, that the whole burden thing comes in again. um but it's like don't feel bad in that, know that it's okay to ask for that, or like even it's okay like if you are in an elevator and you see this like one other person in there, or it's just like one other man or anything, you don't feel comfortable going in that, being alone with another person. It's okay to take the next one. It's okay to not care about how the other person feels if it's in regards to your own safety. And I feel like that's such a big one, especially because a lot of times, as for me, like I'm like constantly caring about what other people think, but I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't care, especially when it regards to like my own safety, and not being feeling like I'm a burden when I ask for help, because like more than 10 times out of 10 they're going to help me. Not everyone is gonna not everyone's gonna say no, and that's another thing. Is also like learning how to say no to people, learning how to say no when in regards to like toxic relationships. And this isn't it's not always the case of like a romantic relationship, but also like friends that you've known for like 7+ years. It's okay that to put yourself first, especially when toxicity is a part of the equation, because your mental health is more important than the actions that they're doing, or like even like forgiving them, because sometimes lines get crossed, and doesn't matter how long as you've known them, once that line gets crossed, it's okay to put yourself first. um, and like that's like another thing that has happened to me, where like I've known someone like 7+ years, and all of a sudden it's like that switch up that happens where like they start acting like not weird, but they start being disrespectful towards like me, my family, and then they start disrespecting um my own like mental health. And that's where it's just like, hey, line crossed. I don't care about you anymore. You're not, you're only bringing negativity into my life. I don't want that. And like,
Mhm.
I feel like in that sense, it's okay to not be so forgiving so easily, um, because you have to put yourself first in these situations.
Mhm. Yeah, that's an incredible perspective to have, because honestly, I also agree with that perspective. Um, at the end of the day, you're the one leading your life. No one else is going to lead it for you. So in that case, what you do falls back on you. So, and the people that you interact with, that you talk with or travel with, whatever it is, those people have their slice of life to impart to you as well. And whether those slices are good or not, that depends on you. And that assertiveness plays a big part in deciding what kind of slices you get. So yeah, that's an incredible perspective to have. Um, to round it off, I'm just going to list some mental health resources for women, which are incredibly helpful. Um, these are located in Mariposa, and you can access the service by going to www.mariposacenter.org. The Aqua Mind and Body Inpatient, which provide inpatient services at www.aquamindbody.com/women's mental health treatment program in Costa Mesa/Orange County. This, uh, alongside that, there are Laura's House, which provides services for domestic violence victims. You can go to laurashouse.org. There's also Human Options, which also provides domestic violence resources at humanoptions.org. MECCA, which is an incredible service, MECCA, which stands for Multi-Ethnic Collaborative of Community Agencies, which provide culturally competent mental health services at ocmecca.org. That's ocmecca.org. There's also Access California Services for Arabic speaking and culturally competent services. You can go to Access California Services at home. Again, that is home, Access California Services. That's the website. You can also go to Community Counseling and Supportive Services at ochealthinfo.com. There you can select Community Counseling and Supportive Services, CCSS. And these are some of the most amazing mental health services that women can access in order to help themselves. And like I said, make sure that their slices of life are, in fact, actually good for themselves. Um, I think uh, you've provided an amazing perspective today, in terms of mental health and how that applies to women everywhere. And I really thank you for your honesty. Uh, that's an incredible perspective to have. Um, and thank you for joining me today in order to provide that perspective. And I'd like to also thank you guys, the audience, for joining us for our first installment of our mini series on exploring mental health from various gendered perspectives. Don't forget to take our survey to be entered to win an Amazon gift card. The link is in our bio. Go to the bio and you can click the link there. We sincerely hope that you learned some genuinely good things today and you can get connected to some helpful services. And we hope to see you at our next live. Take care, everyone, and hope you have a great day.